Have you ever noticed that the more you try to grasp for control over something, the more it spirals into chaos and out of control? Control is an illusion. In fact, control is a God category, not a human one. And the more we try and control, the more chaos we create in every area of our life. The very first temptation that humanity fell to when we sinned for the very first time was a grasp for control. Genesis chapter 1 and 2 is God creating the earth, creating the whole entire world, creating Adam and Eve, and placing them in the garden in paradise. What was the only thing God asked? He just said, there's one tree, that's it, and I just don't want you to eat from this one tree called the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Now, what did the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, what did that represent? It represented God's control. That God says, I want you to rely on me and my goodness and my knowledge and my wisdom, not on your own. I'm gonna be in control, not you. And Satan took that one thing and he used it as the temptation that we have been grasping for ever since. Control is rooted in doubting God's goodness. What did Satan say? Did God really say? I mean, did God really say he's trying to control you? That's not good. You should take control back from God. He's saying, I think you should doubt God's goodness and take it for yourself. And that's when the chaos begins. I've told you this before, let me say it again. What you try and control most reveals where you trust God the least. Where are you doubting God's goodness in your life? And isn't that the place where chaos ensues? Number one, it starts with doubting God's goodness. Number two, we learn that control is driven by our desire for autonomy. Remember when Satan said in verse 4, oh, you can be like God. You can take control from him. You can be autonomous, your own God in your own life. And by the way, we live in a world today that is baiting us to take a bite from the exact same tree of autonomy. We are at our freest, not when we're in charge, but when we give God control. So where in the name of autonomy are you grasping for control versus relying on God's goodness and trusting him? And wherever that's at, I promise you that chaos ensues. Why? Because the third thing we learn from this scripture is that control is what fuels fear and anxiety. You know the Serenity Prayer? It's a beautiful prayer, so powerful. In fact, this prayer is used in Alcoholics Anonymous and other organizations who have figured out, watch this, they don't have control. So here's how this Serenity Prayer is written. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, that's control. The courage to change the things I can, that's having responsibility. And the wisdom to know the difference.